Salvation Army was approved for a request to operate a 24-hour adult rehabilitation center by the Zoning Hearing Board in Wilkes-Barre, but that wasn't without protests from the audience. Currently, the Salvation Army has an adult rehabilitation center on Hazel Street in Wilkes-Barre, but that building is almost 100 years old and the facility needs more up-to-date accommodations. The Salvation Army requested that the proposed building at 60 New Hill Street be changed from a non-conforming use for children to a non-conforming use for adults. Attorney Mark McMillis asked Michael Hopkins, President and CEO of the Children's Service Center, to explain the difference between the uses of the proposed building.
Can you offer an opinion to the board as to how you think the Children's Service Center's use of the property would relate or compare to the Salvation Army's proposed use of the property?
Sure, I think there's a lot of similarities. The adolescents that we worked with came to us from juvenile justice system, drug and alcohol issues, mental health issues. A lot of similarities with the adolescent population as to what I was told about the Salvation Army, the population they work with. It seems like it's an adult version of the adolescents that we work with.
Major Charles Deitrick said the purpose of the Salvation Army is to help those in need.
Salvation Army's purpose is to help people that are in transition, bring hope and response to their lives. Salvation Army was started in 1865 in London, moved to the United States in 1880, and from there we have gone from community to community to try and find ways in which we can help people of that community to take care of those particular needs that they might have. And for the Adult Rehabilitation Center, the purpose is really to help men and women. In this particular center, it's all men, to deal with their drug and alcohol addictions, try and bring them hope and harmony, to work with transforming their lives from where they were to where they can be.
Major Kathleen Wadman told the board that there is a need for a center like the Adult Rehabilitation Center in Wilkes-Barre, and she told them about a typical day.
Is there a local need for your services?
I believe there is. As more and more other places have lost some of their funding, we're getting more calls for referrals.
You don't need, for the Salvation Army to operate, you don't need to go to Philadelphia or Pittsburgh and bring in recruits. There's plenty right here.
Right.
Okay.
Typical day would be a wake-up call at 5:30 in the morning. They will have breakfast from 5:45 to 6:15. At 6:30, they go into the morning devotions. By 6:45, they leave for work therapy, which is over on Sansui Highway. Most of them are gone for the day. Maybe 10 people are in the building throughout the day. The kitchen people, the clean, the people that clean. They do their work therapy. They come back around 3:30. By 4:15, they're in their first class. Dinner's at 5, then another class at 6, another class at 7, and outside meetings curfew is at 10 o'clock. Lights are out at 10:30. That's a typical day. On the weekend, they're allowed to be out until 11 o'clock on Friday and 11 o'clock on Saturday.
Visitation at the site is extremely limited?
Very limited, yes.
After the question and answer portion of the presentation, Housing Authority Executive Director Jack Ziegler opposed the Salvation Army's request.
I'm not concerned about their successes. We have worked with the Salvation Army over the years. We have accepted their folks that have come out of the program, and they have done very well. However, I think that the failures, which are not their failures, but the inability of folks to complete that program, whether it's their fault or nobody's fault, okay, and the idea that they now have a new area with the opportunity to exploit 250 children, almost 113 families of which are single parent. Okay, that's our concern. It's not, we laud their successes, but we recognize, and we ask you to recognize, that it's the folks that don't make it through the program that, I heard what was spoken, and I believe what they said as far as what happens to these folks. But the bottom line is, they have no control over them. If they leave the program either voluntarily or because they're asked to leave, once they're outside those fences, they have no control and they can't really speak for what they will or will not do.
The Salvation Army was approved for the request with a 3-1 vote.